Tell me about just what it's been like in the presentations. Like, how is this compared to your previous sales cycles and what you've been having to get used to?
The biggest difference I noticed when I was selling window washing, it was just cold. It was door to door. I have to work just as hard, but it doesn't feel like as much of a hustle because with window washing, it's a want. So I'm selling people who have never really heard of regular basis window washing. And so it was just kind of grit work. This, on the other hand, especially with most being replacements, it's kind of just a need. So selling something that I feel like people more need than want, it's kind of nice. So I cancellations are probably going to be a little bit lower, and the presentation is a little longer, that's for sure. So it takes a little bit of getting used to. I can't wait for a few months down the road when I could do it with more ease. But yeah, it's a little longer, but it's like again, I like that it's a need and unless I'm a want, so I'm really enjoying that. But I'm pretty comfortable most of it, given the whole presentation at this point. Just waiting
Sounds like,
until I can fill in the gaps and stuff.
yeah, so it sounds like you've done a couple replacements already. Um,
Yeah, I think most of them are probably 80% for me so far, I believe.
yeah, that's great. I mean, honestly, that's a pretty high percentage starting out. I mean, so that tells me again, you're sounds like you're building trust pretty well if you're getting that many replacements, that quickly. It sounds like
Yeah.
you've been utilizing Naomi in those situations, like your trainer for those replacement situations. You might want to talk a little bit about that, of just in the beginning and how you're utilizing her, about 5 weeks in.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm definitely utilizing her. I'm not scared to call her. I mean, as long as she can answer, that's fine. But what exactly? What do you ask
Yeah, so with,
exactly?
with the replacements. So I mean, if you're doing 80% replacements, and you may not
Yeah.
even know if you're doing well on it, but how are you going about the replacements right now? Are you getting their physical policy? Are you calling the current company? Is
Okay.
Naomi telling you to do all these things before you call her? Like how are you handling replacement situations right now?
Yeah, I mean, she's just instructed me to call their current policy customer service regardless of anything. So that's what I do. When I get in the house, as soon as I find out they have a policy, I just say, yeah, I've got their number right here. They'll verify you're here. We'll get that, and then we'll compare apples to apples. So then I call their customer service, and then I ask
Okay,
them all the
I'm gonna
questions
stop
on the
you.
script.
Right. Hey, I'm gonna stop you right there. Okay. So
Yeah,
first of all, thank you for being coachable. Look, there's so many things as a trainer we tell people to do, and then they just don't actually happen. But guys, he said it in a offhand fashion, like regardless of what they tell me, I'm gonna call the company. Okay, such a simple thing to overlook. Sometimes you're wasting energy deciding whether you should call them or not. Like if you're sitting down with them, first of all, that's a win, right? Get the sit. And then if they got a policy, you got to get the facts straight from the horse's mouth. And even if they have a physical policy, you still want to get in the habit of calling. If it's during business hours, you want to call every single time because you can't get exact cash value figures without calling the company, or they might have a loan on the policy, which totally affects comparing apples to apples. You might be trying to beat 10,000 in coverage, but there might be a $2,000 loan on it. So it's not 10,000 in coverage. Effective, they might have 8,000, for example. So, hey, Bradley, are you getting,
exactly.
what do you do when you're getting some resistance where like, I don't want to do that, or no, we don't need to do that. How are you handling just,
Uh, I don't know exactly what I say. I think it really just comes down to like I'm so confident I can help them, especially if they have, a current policy, and especially if they got it in the last 5, 10 years. I'm just so confident I can help them. I just kind of keep at it. So I keep the energy, low, and then if they resist, I just kind of neutralize it, and then go at it again. And I honestly don't find myself leaving for quite a while. And then a lot of the times, eventually, they're just like, okay, I've got, and then they say who it is, and I just go back into it. Don't know exactly what I'm saying, depends on what it
no,
is, but
it's
I don't
okay.
leave too easily.
No, that's good. That's good. And that's okay, man. It's kind of like, I've heard it. There's like incompetence, unconscious incompetence, And then it's like unconscious competence. So it's kind of like you're good at something, but you don't really know why. And then, mastery is when you're like you're consciously competent. You're good and you know why you're good at certain steps. I think
Right.
all those years you spent door knocking has built up kind of like this natural like you don't hear no's as deeply as a brand new person. Like, like this sounds kind of bad, but ignoring a no is not rude. It's like when your reservoir of conviction is so big, those you just translate the no's like they just don't really matter until we get to what matters. They just don't matter. It's just no.
Right.
I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, well, and I'm not gonna stay there if it's like super awkward. It's not awkward because again, I'm kind of ignoring the no and I'm just keeping the conversation as if they didn't say it. And it's almost as if they didn't by the time they're saying yes. So no, 100%, 100%. I had a lady this week who she said no. So she spoke only Spanish, no English. I don't speak any Spanish. And she kept resisting, but I just felt like I don't know, based on our interaction, I felt like she had insurance. And then I finally got her to wheelchair over, and then she grabbed her A flat paper. Then I sat outside with her and I used Chat GPT to translate back and forth. And then I ended up getting the replacement on that one, which was pretty cool. But it took a while for her to tell me. I don't know if it was mainly because of the language barrier, but after a few minutes at the front door, me sitting down on the ground outside of the front door with it cracked open, I was able to get her to wheelchair back over. And so that was a really good one.